Hi everyone, welcome to English Path. My name's Nushin and today's lesson is about punctuation. First things first, always start your sentences or questions with a capitalized word, which means the first letter of the first word of each sentence has to be a capital letter like, are you subscribed to my channel? Please subscribe to it. If you aren't, there's a little button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screens. You can click it right now and get subscribed to my channel to get updated whenever I upload new lessons for you. Let me tell you though that you capitalize the beginning of each and every single sentence you write. More about capitalization. Proper nouns always have to be capitalized. What are proper nouns? Names you use to call people, places like cities, countries, streets, parks, restaurants, whatsoever. Nationalities and languages, days of the week, months of the year, and holidays as well. Like Nushin, it's my first name. English Path is the name of my channel. New Zealand is the name of a country. It's a two-part word. Because it is a proper noun, both have to be capitalized. Rome, city, American, nationality. Sunday, day of the week. August, a month, and Christmas is a holiday. By the way, I talked about proper nouns and nouns in general in this video. If you need to learn more about nouns, please watch it. All right, now that you know how to begin your sentences, you're probably asking me how you can end them. Before telling you that, I need to teach you what this little guy is called. In punctuation, it's called a period or a full stop. On top of the letters I or J, it's called a dot. In English, you need to dot your I's and J's because I know there are some certain languages that do not dot their I's or J's or both. Like in Turkish, they do not dot their I's. They only draw a simple straight line and that's considered I. In English, you do need to dot them. In the digital world or the internet, it's also called a dot. I'm going to mention it toward the end of the video when I teach you how to read email addresses and websites. And in math, it's called a point, like 2.4. Okay, time to learn how to end things. End your statements using a period. Look, I just used it there. Another example, you can improve your English if you subscribe to English Path, right there, period. To end a question, use a question mark, obviously. Did you hit the like button on this video? It's down there. To end exclamatory sentences, use exclamation marks like, don't forget to watch the shorts I upload daily, exclamation mark. I taught exclamatory sentences, what they are and how you can form them in this video. It is advised to use a period after abbreviations, but it is getting less common. Abbreviations like doctor, Mr., professor, etc. This guy right here is called a comma. It plays a significant role in English writing and punctuation, and it has various uses. One of those uses is to separate a list of similar words or phrases. For example, I need some yeast, comma, flour, comma, cheese, comma, and tomatoes for the pizza. By the way, when you're reading the sentence, you do not say comma. You simply pause. I read it to show you where it is used. So simply you would read the sentence in normal life like, I need some yeast, flour, cheese, and tomatoes for the pizza. Now, the British do not use a comma before and at the end of a list of single words, but Americans do. An example for a list of phrases. Her books are getting better, more detailed, and less boring. These are phrases because they are comparative adjectives. I have a video on adjectives and you can watch it here. Commas are used to separate a smaller part from a larger region, like a city from a country, a city from a state, a neighborhood from a city, a country from a continent, etc. The event is held in Cupertino, California. I separated Cupertino, which is in California, from California using a comma, and I ended my sentence using a period. They're flying to Oxford, England next week. Oxford is a smaller part of England and it's been separated from it using a comma. To separate a day from a year, when the day number has been used between the month and the year, you will use a comma. For example, it's August 3rd, 2023 today. We separated August 3rd, which is a day, from the year 2023 using a comma. But if the number of the day is used before the month, you will not need a comma. It's the 3rd of August 2023 today. To directly address someone by their name, you'll use a comma. Hey, Mindy, will you help me with the dishes? You see, the name is used in the middle of the sentence, so it's enclosed with 2 commas. You need to separate the name from the rest of the sentence when you're calling someone. Mindy, your phone's ringing. You started the sentence with the name, the direct address. You separated using 1 comma. Your phone's ringing, Mindy. It's used at the end of the sentence and it's separated from the rest of the sentence using a comma before it. A comma signals a pause to the reader, like when you see it, you know you need to pause. Like, I didn't go to the event. In fact, I totally forgot about it. I paused a little bit after in fact. Similar cases are after, as a result, actually, on the other hand, in contrast, in addition, furthermore, moreover, there are so many of them. To add extra information or further details, you will use commas. Like my car, comma, which I bought last year, comma, is really giving me a hard time. My sentence will be fine without this extra information. Like if I remove it from my sentence, it'll be, my car is really giving me a hard time. It's the same sentence without the further details. Now this is an adjective clause and it is a non-defining one. If you need more details on adjective clauses, I have a video and I am linking all of the videos I'm mentioning in this one in the description box down below. You can click it or tap it, open it and click on the links to watch the other videos I've linked there. Another example, I'm planning to sell my car, which is an old banger. Again, this is further information or extra details, and I've separated it from the rest of my sentence. But pay attention, if the extra information is in the middle of the sentence, you will enclose it with 2 commas. If it ends the sentence, you will only use 1 comma before it, and you'll end your sentence, like always, with a period. There's always a comma used after however and therefore. This is a serious punctuation lesson right here, so please take notes because it'll help you earn scores in the IELTS test, in academic writings. It'll make your writing look more professional and accurate, so pay attention. I don't normally eat eggs for breakfast. Semicolon. I'm going to tell you how to use semicolons in a bit. However, comma, I fancied some today. So there's a comma after however. Another form of using however is, I don't normally eat eggs for breakfast. You end your first sentence. However, capitalize however because it's starting a new sentence. A comma after however, I fancied some today. The same goes for therefore. I was really busy last week. Therefore, I forgot to wish my friend a happy birthday. Remember this acronym. It'll come in handy everywhere. Fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and, so. It's an acronym starting with the first letter of all of these words that can connect independent clauses using a comma. So whenever you use fanboys, one of these words, to connect 2 independent clauses, what's an independent clause? A clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. And an independent clause is one that can be considered like an independent sentence. It can stand alone. It is complete in its meaning and everything. So when you're connecting 2 independent clauses and you want to connect them using fanboys, you will use a comma before fanboys. For example, Daisy always complained about her old apartment, comma, but I always found it quite peaceful and nice. You normally use a comma before fanboys when the two independent clauses are about different subjects. The subject of the first clause is Daisy, and the subject of the second clause is I, different subjects. But when the subjects are the same person or thing, there's no need for a comma. Like, Daisy has moved to a lovely neighborhood, but says she doesn't like her apartment. I didn't say Daisy says, because it's obvious who says. So because they're referring to the same subject, I didn't even use a comma before but. Although and even though are used to show contrast between the two clauses, and they need a comma before them. She was in tears, although she had just won the championship. Now these two clauses are in contrast with each other. When you win a championship, you're actually supposed to be happy and all smiles, but she was in tears. So I use the comma before although to separate the two contrasting clauses. Whenever you start a sentence with a dependent clause, what's a dependent clause? A clause that cannot stand alone. You will need a comma afterwards. For example, I don't want to buy the shoes because if I do, I will have to get a matching bag as well, and I don't have the money. So if I do is your dependent clause, and it starts the sentence and you need a comma afterwards. But a comma alone cannot separate two independent clauses. Like, if I write this, it is wrong. It's cold, comma, it's about to snow. Both of these can be considered as separate sentences. It's cold. You're not waiting for me to give you any extra details. Or it's about to snow. The same. So they are two independent clauses, and you can separate them using a comma. How can you separate them correctly? You can simply turn each into a single sentence by using a period, like, it's cold, it's about to snow. Fine. Or it's cold, semicolon, that I'm going to teach you a bit later. It's about to snow, period. Or use fanboys. It's cold and it's about to snow. I'm running out of battery. Now, are fanboys the only words you can use to separate two independent clauses? Of course not. There are many more that I've taught in different videos, and I'm not going to mention them here because this is a punctuation lesson. Use a comma to separate the tag in a tag question, like, it's a lovely day, isn't it? Here's the tag. A comma is always used after yes or no in short answers, like, are we ready to go? Yes. Everything's packed. You see, I pause after yes. Or, no, I'm not ready yet. Use a comma after well, wow, oh my god, and other interjections like, whoa, what an awesome ride. To separate direct speech from the rest of the sentence, use a comma. For example, he said, comma, we would like to collaborate with you. I've explained the punctuation of direct and indirect speech in my video about reported speech, and it's linked in the description box. Commas can also be used to indicate thousands and millions in numbers. For example, currently 1,550 people are subscribed to my channel, but someday I will hit 1 million subs. You see the commas I used? They make it easy to read the numbers. This is a colon. You can use it to introduce a list. For example, to bake the strawberry cake, you'll need, I'm introducing my list using a colon, milk, flour, eggs, sugar, strawberries, and vanilla. Let's review some of the punctuation we've learned so far. I started my sentence with a capitalized word. Then, where I needed to pause, I used a comma. I introduced my list using a colon, and I separated the single items of my list using commas. And I finally ended my sentence using a period because it was a statement. Colons are also used to give explanations or justifications. For example, here's how you bake it. I'm going to explain it, so I use a colon. Mix all the ingredients in a large bowl. I need a comma because I pause, and then pop it in the oven. How simple? Just mix everything, pop it in the oven for as long as you want to, and your cake's gonna be ready. is called a semicolon. It is used to separate two independent clauses, just like I showed you a few minutes earlier, like it's hot, semicolon, turn the aircon on. But it is not common to do so in modern English. To separate two independent clauses, we usually use linking devices like fanboys, although, even though, therefore, however, and all the other guys I've talked about in adverb clauses. There's a link to that lesson in the description box. As you saw earlier, you need a semicolon before however and therefore when they're used in one complex sentence. Like, she refused to tell the truth, semicolon, however, comma, they insisted she confess. She refused to tell the truth, semicolon, therefore, comma, they asked her to leave. Another use of the semicolon is to separate items in a series that contain commas, like, so far, they visited Tokyo, Japan, Paris, France, Rome, Italy, and Vienna, Austria. When I was talking about commas, I told you that you use commas to separate a smaller part of a larger region. That's what we've done here. Tokyo is in Japan, but it's not correct to separate Tokyo, Japan from Paris, France using a comma, because they will be considered as single items. The single items of this list are Tokyo, Japan, item 1, Paris, France, item 2, Rome, Italy, item 3, and Vienna, Austria, item 4. So when your list contains commas, you separate those commaed items using semicolons, like this, right here. Quotation marks. I've explained all about them in my video about recorded speech, but I wanted to include them in this video too because I just wanted this punctuation lesson to be as detailed and as thorough as possible. So we use them to separate direct speech from the rest of the sentence, obviously. Like, she asked, how do you know about it? Use single quotation marks to quote something within a quotation. For example, our teacher said you need to always be asking questions about why things are the way they are. As Einstein believed, I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious, which is so true. Okay, I used my teacher's sentence and I quoted it directly using double quotation marks, the red ones. Inside my quotation, I used what my teacher had quoted from someone else, from Einstein. And I used single quotation marks, which are green here, to quote something within another quotation. Quotation marks are also used to draw attention to a word when we want to question the exact meaning of the word. Like, his castle was in fact only a tiny treehouse. The apostrophe, used with an S, apostrophe S, indicates possession. For example, Lily's son, Harry, had black hair and green eyes. By the way, Harry is a further detail, so I've enclosed it using 2 commas. You see how it all clicks when you know the rules? Now you need to be careful to see if you have a singular noun or a plural noun. If you have a regular plural noun that ends in an S, like students, you only need an apostrophe, like the students' books, which means these books belong to multiple students. But if you have an irregular plural noun that does not end in S, you will use apostrophe and S, like children's bedtime stories. Children is plural, but it is irregular. 1 child, multiple children. So you do need an apostrophe S. Or women's clothing, men's clothing. For names that end in S or Z sounds, you have 2 options. You can use apostrophe S or only an apostrophe, and it impacts the pronunciation. For example, Lily and James's son was only 1 when they got murdered. I pronounced Z, James's. But if you do not want to pronounce Z, You can simply use an apostrophe, like Lily and James' son was only 1 when they got murdered. Apostrophes are also used to indicate contractions and short forms. For example, it is, it's, they would, they'd, of clock, a clock. To make numbers or letters plural when they're used as words, you can use apostrophes. You actually have to use apostrophes, like her H's look like B's. Have you seen some people's handwriting when they write H's but they make it so round it looks like a B? I've used H and B as words here. I've made them plural, and I have also used apostrophes to show that these are not normal words, and I have made them plural this way, because if you write HS, no one will read it as H's. They will read it as HS, and they will wonder why you haven't capitalized it if it is an abbreviation or an acronym. The same as BS, which is beep. There are 4 8s in her phone number. 8 is a number. So I've used it as a word, and I've made it plural using an apostrophe and an S. Did you notice the H and the B in my previous example as well as 8? They looked like this. I had italicized them. Italics are used when mentioning names of books, newspapers, magazines, films, songs, poems, videos, etc. Like Boulevard of Broken Dreams won the Grammy of Record of the Year in 2004. I remember that day and I was so happy because it was my favorite song. And you italicize by pressing this button, this little I on whatever software you're using to type your material. Punctuating dates, which is very important. Here's the American format: month, day, year. You can separate the month from the day from the year using slashes, dots, or dashes. Or you can simply write month, day, comma, year. August 3rd, comma, 2023. Or as I just mentioned a bit earlier, not a bit, a lot earlier, you can start with the day, 3 August 2023, and in that case, you will not use a comma here. And here's how the British punctuate their dates. Day, month, year. Again, you can separate them using slashes, dots, or dashes, and the same goes for if you want to spell the month. You can even shorten the month in both American and British English by writing the first 3 letters of the month, like A-U-G. Hyphens and dashes. You see, dashes are longer than hyphens. Hyphens are used to make 2 or 3 part words, like ice cream. A 16-year-old teenager, to indicate that this is one word. Strawberry flavored gum. Like commas or parentheses, dashes are used to add further information or details, like my friend, whom I've known for 15 years, is an introvert. I used the extra information or further detail in between 2 dashes. I could have used commas, or I could have used it in parentheses. How to say emails and websites. My dot little place at iCloud.com. This underscore that at there.org. Here's my email, by the way. If you need to contact me, you got it. And a website, youtube.com. You don't need to say the triple W's anymore because they exist there, and you don't even need to type them. And www stands for the World Wide Web. And finally, other symbols and marks. In math, equals, plus, like 2 plus 2 equals 4, minus, 4 minus 2 equals 2, times or multiplied by. This is more common in conversation, like 2 times 8 equals 16, or you can even say is 16. Divided by, 16 divided by 2 equals 8. Forward slash, backslash, asterisk, parentheses. This is a plural noun, by the way. The singular is parenthesis using an I instead of the E. They're also called round brackets. Square brackets or box brackets. Curly brackets. Degrees. used to talk about the temperature or angles in math, like 24 degrees. I wish it were 24 degrees right now. I think it's something around 40 degrees Celsius. Roasting, it's sweltering. I feel like I'm swimming in the ocean right now. Percent, and or ampersand. Copyright, less than, greater than, or more than. These are mostly used in math. At, check mark, American, tick, British. And this is a cross.
Use currency symbols before the price on the left-hand side, like $4 million, 20 pounds, 160 euros, 6,000 yens. And use the percent sign after the percentage, like 48%.
And that's it for today, guys. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button. Please support me by subscribing to my channel to help me grow and produce more lessons for you. Besides, if you have any questions about punctuation, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, anything English, just comment it and I will reply. Take care, guys. See ya!